It's time for Wise Money with Korhorn Financial Group with certified financial planners Kevin Korhorn, Mike Bernard, and Josh Gregory.
Welcome to another episode of the Wise Money Show with Korhorn Financial Group, where every week we're helping you take your next wise step in your financial life. Thanks for being with us. My name is Mike Bernard. I am your host. I'm also one of the certified financial planners on the show. Right here with me in the KFG studios, we're missing Josh today, still just me and Kevin, but Kevin Korhorn, founder of Korhorn Financial Group and fellow CFP.
Yeah, so it's supposed to be the most wonderful time of the year. You can hear the song right now in the background, but for many people, it's the most stressful time of the year when it comes to your finances. So we're going to solve this today and help you put in place some habits to permanently relieve the holiday financial stress and put the joy back in this season. I feel warm and kind of fuzzy right now.
Good. What's in your cup there? Oh, coffee. I thought maybe it was like hot chocolate or some, pumpkin spice something. No?
Nope.
Okay.
Just straight up coffee.
So, all right. If you have questions, we're definitely going to hit some questions from fans of the show in the second half of the program. Reach out to us. You can do so. Call or text 574-222-2000. That's 574-222-2000. Online, wisemoneyshow.com. You can submit questions right there on the right. Most of the questions come to us on social media. Go wherever you are on social media. Just search the Wise Money Show, and you can engage with us there. You can leave questions. A lot of them come on the YouTube channel. Check it out, or go to Facebook, wherever, and leave questions that way. So, all right. What's the biggest stressor around Christmas or around the holidays for you, Kevin?
Well, do you want my list? How about a top 10 here? No, I think there are a number of stressors. One of the things that for me I find personally stressful is that we lead a fairly full life, and when you get to the holidays, then you also have the Christmas party and you have to go see your family and this and that and the other thing. Yeah. And even though it's a pretty sweet time of the year, it can be stressful.
All that running around.
And then the thing that kind of compounds that is if you have dietary restrictions, or you're trying to be careful, or you're trying to not, have your own zip code, then you say, well, hey, I got to be careful here, and I am going into the devil's lair here, because there's going to be all kinds of amazing food that I love to eat, and it does all these amazing things in my brain when I eat those things, and it's not my food anymore.
Isn't this like almost an oxymoron to say? I mean, the best thing about this season is spending time with family, but I mean, you could just sum up for me the most stressful time of the part of the season is family. Like it just is. It's just family means a lot of people, and some of them give me great joy, and some of them great stress.
Yeah,
we'll just leave it at that.
Well, no, I mean with family, there's and there's all
dysfunction.
There's all kinds of things. It could, if you say stressor and family, because it could be the family that's not there this year.
Right.
And you say, hey, last year they were here and this year it's not. So that might be stressful, but you might still be doing some grieving and have some grief work to do there. Or there might be a family member that you don't have a great relationship with, and you kind of almost know that they're going to do a certain way, and so you find yourself listening to Dr. Laura Schlesinger reruns over and over and over again about how to deal with these people in your life. And so it is a little bit challenging just on the relational side. It's interesting because I was thinking about this. We did a show about the 5 professionals that you need in the 6 areas of your financial life. But your financial life is just one area of your whole life.
That's right.
And so we're talking about really, this is a show about financial planning. So we're talking about financial stressors tied into the holidays. But when we talk about stressors, it's not. You don't lead with financial, because that's really, those aren't the biggest ones.
Those aren't the biggest ones. However, this time of year, it's supposed to be a joyous time of year, but financially, there's a lot of pressure actually, and a lot of stressors. And I sort of thought through. There's 3 big ones this time of year. And the very first one I think we can all relate to, and that is the financial stress of of buying gifts. And you know, you don't spend that much on gifts every month of the year. It's just a lot right at one time, and that can be very stressful. Let me tell you, this is true story, okay? And I did a whole video about this on the YouTube channel, so you can go check that out. How to avoid stress around the holidays forever. But here's what happened. I mean, Cindy and I got married, and Cindy is an unbelievable person. I'm so fortunate, and we are a great fit together. And when it came to Christmas, I grew up where we were definitely middle class. We always had plenty, but we didn't have a lot of gifts around Christmas. And nothing, my parents are just very simple. They never wrapped anything either, which I always thought that was the thing. No, people actually unwrap presents. Nope, not my folks. They never wrapped anything. And so we had plenty and we had gifts, but we didn't have a lot. And my wife's family was the opposite. They had a lot of gifts, lots. Like it was like laughable at times. And now we tease each other. But you can imagine, we got married December 2nd. You can imagine how a financial advisor felt in this situation. Our first Christmas, let's just say, wasn't great because here I am so frugal and I'm watching and we're, just starting our life together. So finances are even tighter than typical. And it was a stressor. She wants to be very generous and I feel like I'm always saying no. And was there joy in that? No, there was not. And there was the tendency to have some pretty blowout arguments. And so after that experience, after that Christmas, we got together and it did take us talking about it. And so that might be one of your roadblocks, but what do we want? We want to shower our loved ones generously, but we also want to avoid financial ruin and financial regret. So we came up with a plan of, all right, well, how much do we think we'll spend on Christmas? What's the right amount? And it's more than what I would have chosen, but it's a number that we could agree on. And we just divided that by 12. And ever since then, 2006, automatically set that money aside into a delayed spending account. So then November 1st, it's always the day after Halloween. I look in the bank. Okay, that money's there. Here's Cindy. Here's how we get, here's the amount. You divvy it up. We'll figure it out. And that's it. And we stay within that system.
Yeah, and this is a very different time. When I was growing up, a big Christmas was you got a Matchbox car, an orange, and 3 pairs of underwear, and it was a pretty big deal, right? And Aunt Ruby would give you a Christmas card with 2 quarters taped into the card, and you could feel the card, you could feel the quarters, and you're like, sweet, I got some money here.
Dime store, yeah.
Yeah, so it's very different because back then, and I don't fully understand it, but it seemed like there were much more, you were dealing with practical things and needs, whereas now, for the most part, a lot of folks are just dealing with wants.
Yeah, it's just
wants. What do I want? So what do you get for the person who has everything? Maybe not everything, but they don't necessarily need something. There's not something that if they had this, their life would be dramatically different. Like getting underwear for Christmas made my life better.
Yeah.
Back then. Now it would just add to the drawer.
But what's the thing that Leonard has to tell Sheldon and Big Bang Theory? It's a social construct, so you just have to do it. Like even though you'd say, well, these people have everything, you still got to get a present for your niece and nephew. And so how can you do that without breaking the bank or making this financially, super stressful? Figure it out. How much is the right amount? Divide it by 12 and have it automatically saved up. I'm going to tell you more about that. That's our 3 bank account system. And then hit the other financial stressors so that you can have a joyous season. That and more coming up on the Wise Money Show with Korhorn Financial Group. Hey, YouTube, thanks for being here. This is the Wise Money Show. You're at the Wise Money Show channel. What you're watching right now is our weekly 1-hour talk show that airs right here and on our podcast every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. Make sure you subscribe to it and turn on notifications so that you're made aware every Saturday morning when this drops, as well as when we release other videos throughout the week that are more concentrated in time and direct, specific, actionable to your financial life. So Hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications. And you like the content, hit that thumbs up as well. We appreciate that. And leave comments below. Yeah. I think that's it.
Sweet.
Okay. Let's roll.
So what's
I want to tease out a little bit more of the 3 bank account system. Mm-hmm. Or maybe I'll share, because we're going to hit that again when we talk about the other one. I'll just put the wraps on that, no pun intended there, and we'll talk about Clark Griswold.
Yeah. And I do,
that's a good one.
You know, I do love talking about the 6 areas of financial planning in every show. Mm-hmm. I mean, this is
where it'll hit.
Right. But this to me would be where you make the argument. I love arguing about what's the area that we help people the most in.
Oh.
Or what's the most helpful area that we provide strategy in. Because, I mean, you could argue, depending on the person,
cash flow,
present financial position is the most foundational area. Because if you don't have this one right, and
it's hard to get the others.
Yeah,
right.
I was talking to a guy last night that makes $1.5 million a year, and this is still a big deal.
Yeah.
So, and as he gave his wife a coupon to go get pizza.
Yeah, good.
So,
all right, we'll talk about it. All right. What are the big financial stressors right now? It's supposed to be the most wonderful time of the year, but for many, it is the most financially stressful time of the year. We're helping you permanently solve that right now. This is the Wise Money Show with Korhorn Financial Group. Thanks for being here. My name's Mike Bernard. Here with me in the KFC studios, Kevin Korhorn. Every episode of the Wise Money Show is on the YouTube channel. Go check it out. Go to YouTube, search the Wise Money Show. Subscribe to it there, and you can leave comments and questions. If you like the content, give us that thumbs up as well. We appreciate that. All right, so we're talking about the 3 big holiday Christmas financial stressors. First one is buying all those gifts and all of that splurging for wants as opposed to needs for many people. And really, it's a 3 bank account system that helps solve that. We're going to get into that a little bit more. Let's talk about the second one. Imagine this scenario. It's going to be hard to do so, but imagine the scenario where you're working, and then around the end of the year, you have your annual performance review. And it's not a performance review. It's just, you sit down and you find out how much your bonus is, and you find out if you're getting a raise and how much. Imagine the scenario. You get this raise or this bonus every single year like clockwork. And so you get this genius idea and say, well, I know what this pandemic needs. We're getting a pool. We're getting a pool in our backyard. Yep. And you put the down payment down. You've got it ready. And how are we going to swing that financially? The Christmas bonus. The Christmas bonus. Don't worry. I've already said yes to the pool. It's in the works, but I'll use the Christmas bonus. And you find out you don't get a bonus. Someone should make a movie about that.
What you doing, Eddie?
That's right. This is exactly Clark Griswold. It's exactly what happens financially. Has it ever been stressful when you go to that annual review and you realize, oh, I'm not getting that bonus this year, or I didn't get that raise, or the bonus is very different? This is one of the reasons why here at Korhorn Financial Group, there's no big Christmas bonuses here, because it just makes everything confusing and messy. It really does. But let me tell you a story, because this is real. Clark Griswold, you can get those moose-shaped eggnog glasses now.
Wow.
So, yeah, that's pretty good. Pretty good. And so not everyone has a cousin Eddie, but the Clark Griswold story is real. Whoops. And let me tell you about a friend, my friend Joe. We've been doing financial planning for him and his wife. They live up in Michigan. And he gets a bonus every year around the holidays. And it's a meaningful bonus. It's intended to be a meaningful bonus, around $20,000 every year. And then usually you get a raise at that time as well. And I'm not kidding. And we always plan for it. What would you do? And so on. But we've built their financial life where they're making progress and doing the right things. And the bonus is always an accelerator of the progress they're already making. It's not the progress itself. And guess what happened this year? We did our call. He said, blah, 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 pandemic, we're as busy as ever, but our company did do a 30% cut to our staffing, and there was no bonus this year, and there was no raise. Devastating. No, not for them. Not for them. They didn't even skip a beat. Disappointing? Sure. But financially, they were still making progress, no problem at all. And the entire discussion wasn't focused on this one unfortunate circumstance. It was more so just, hey, FYI, no bonus this year. Could you imagine expecting and getting a $20,000 bonus every single year, and then 1 year it doesn't show up? Financial planning totally dissolved that issue. It totally did. Unfortunate, yes, but we can't control the pandemic. He can control how good he does at his job and the effort he puts in, all of that. But you can't control the pandemic. And so they are making financial progress in their life. And the bonus was just icing on the cake, and it wasn't there this year. Oh, big deal. Don't have that same approach in your finances.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is where you want at all times a couple of things. You want your finances to be decisionable, but you also want your contingency plans to be in place. And that's where we have strategies that help with that. But it can take a little while to build these and build layer upon layer upon layer of contingency plan that doesn't cost you anything. So you're not giving up something in order to have these kind of protections and various layers. So if the first layer is penetrated, the second layer is going to hold, or the third layer, or whatever.
Yeah. So let me give you the backdrop here. So there's 6 areas to your financial life. There's 6 areas to everyone's financial life, okay? You've got your present financial position. You've got protection planning. You've got your tax planning. That's different than tax preparation. Tax planning is proactive work. Investment planning, retirement and college planning, and then estate planning. Now, let me give you this example, this scenario with Joe. Real life scenario. Change the name to protect the innocent, but real life scenario. The bonus and the raise is present financial position, so that's cash flow. But there's a goal in there of building up their emergency fund to $20,000. That was their goal, and getting their mortgage on a pace where they could have it paid off in 10 years. Okay. Well, had he not gotten the bonus a few years ago, that would have been very hard, because that's what we used to help get the emergency fund fully funded and helped get some equity and make some progress on the mortgage. We'd already done those things. And so it was this reduced income in present financial position, but we were already on pace for those goals. Great. Second, protection planning. He's got delayed spending in place. So for their life insurance, they set money aside all throughout the year. So missing this bonus didn't mean they were going to miss a life insurance payment. No, that's automatic. And same with the HSA. They fund the HSA automatically out of every paycheck. So losing this bonus didn't derail them there. He sets up his 401k to max out throughout the year. A lot of people have their bonus max out their 401k, and that works for a lot of people. He didn't. He had it max out regardless. So the bonus, no problem. Lower income, so less tax, right? Same, I already mentioned the investment planning was already maxing the 401k, and same with retirement. We weren't relying on this bonus to get us to retirement. He was told there was no cash balance pension contribution this year. So that impacts retirement a little bit, but he's still saving what he's supposed to even without this bonus. And then estate planning, I would say this bonus probably doesn't influence the estate plan, but you could see it just influenced 5 out of the 6 areas of their financial life, but they were already on track. They had the clarity and confidence of where they stood. And so you get the surprise, this potentially disastrous surprise, no $20,000 bonus this year, and they're able to take it in stride. That might not be you. So don't listen to this example envious or even angry. You can take the right small step in your life. Again, had this happened a couple of years ago, it would have been more financially challenging, much more. But through our coaching, I would have, helped them make the most of it and figure out what to do. But don't have any regrets as you listen to this saying, gosh, I'm not in that situation. Gosh, that would be devastating for me. Just take your right next step. Take your right next step. That could be sitting down with a certified financial planner to talk about, all right, what steps do you need to put in place, or what things do you need to start doing to be on track for your goals?
And this is a great time to be thinking about that as well. I like the end of the year because it's a time to reflect back on what's happened this year. Most people want to probably forget a lot of what happened in 2020, but you look back and say, "Hey, what happened? And what did I learn? How am I better? How am I better equipped to face 2021 because of what happened in 2020?" And we talk about that as far as what's the area that we help people most in their financial life, and this present financial position piece is foundational.
It is, and that leads to sort of the third big stressor that we see in your finances over the holidays, and it is very similar to the present in the first one. So we're going to talk about that in the 3 bank account system, that and more coming up on the Wise Money Show with Korhorn Financial Group. All right.
I was assuming you were.
Yeah, thanks. You never know. All right. Third segment. I don't know. And this is a place we could do honorable mention, but this is, yeah. Okay. Short break.
Okay.
Let's do
it. So we're going in the third segment.
Yeah.
And
we'll hit the travel one, and we'll hit 3 bank account system, and we'll hit, I think, and then we'll just wrap it up. We could even get into a question if we've exhausted the topic.
Okay. I got some ideas here.
Then we can run with them.
Okay, sweet.
So, has COVID and quarantines and all this sort of stuff, has it interrupted your travel plans? Are you looking at your finances saying, gosh, we don't have to buy plane tickets this year? That's kind of nice. We're actually talking about how to relieve the financial stress of the holidays. We're talking about that right now. This is the Wise Money Show with Korhorn Financial Group. Thanks for being here. My name's Mike Bernard. Here with me in the KFG studios, Kevin Korhorn. Every episode of the Wise Money Show is on podcast. That's what I was struggling to say. It's on podcast, of course. So check it out on iTunes or Spotify or wherever you listen to podcasts. Check it out and just search Wise Money Show. Subscribe to it. Do me a favor and rate the show there. We appreciate that. And check it out there. Okay, so we're talking about how can you bring more joy to the holiday season? Less financial stress, more joy. This is part of the reason why we say, comprehensive financial planning is life-changing, life-giving. Imagine if you are not stressed out about your finances over the holidays. Yeah. Imagine if you could be more generous. Imagine if you could be more giving. Imagine if you could do more hosting. Imagine if you could get more of the salt of life because your finances were on autopilot and you knew you had the clarity and confidence. That's why we're talking about this. You put the finances on ice and you have more of yourself to give to, whatever you're called to. And so you look at what are the big financial stressors? Well, buying gifts, that's a big chunk you've got to be saving up for. 3 bank account system. We're going to talk more about that in a second. The second one is expecting or relying on a Christmas bonus or a Christmas raise, something like that doesn't come. And the third is potentially travel. It's the time of year, either Thanksgiving or Christmas, where these are the busiest travel days of the year. And maybe not this year. And so it might look different, but typically you're buying a plane ticket or others are buying a plane ticket. You're either buying the plane ticket or you're buying the turkey, at least the way I see it. You're buying the plane ticket or you're buying all of the pop that people are going to be drinking and all of the whatever people are going to be drinking, right? So you're either spending money hosting or you're spending money traveling. And here's what I have seen, and Kevin, you can tell me if you've seen it differently. Typically, those expenses, if you're good enough to save up in advance for presents, typically the travel and or the hosting goes on the credit card, and then you pay that off, hopefully, when you get the bill in January. And so it might not mean a big expense at the time, November, December, but it usually means a bigger expense as the financial hangover to start the year. That can be problematic. What are your thoughts, Kevin?
Well, this is an interesting time because of what happened in 2020. And it seems like folks are either in a position of abundance or scarcity right now. Because I'm talking with business owners who are saying, listen, not only are we ahead of where we were last year, but we're ahead of where we were when we had our best year ever. And they're amazed at what's happening. So that's one side of the story. And the other side of the story is if you're in an industry or a business that has been adversely affected by what happened in 2020, you may be in a time of great scarcity. And you might be saying, hey, I unless something changes here, I don't see how we survive this thing.
So one of my favorite shows is Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives. I wonder how many of those diners, drive-ins, and dives are gonna be able to make it, right? Those are salt of the earth folks, local community folks, have a following in the community, and if they've had to shut down, like that's it. That's it.
Yeah. So a lot of folks are finding a financial situation for themselves that they didn't anticipate, whether it's on the plus side or on the minus side. So one thing that I like to think about is, okay, if I'm not traveling or incurring the normal expenses that I would incur at the holiday season, what might I do with that financially? And so I would kind of just go down from I prioritize a list. When you think about resource allocation, how do I do this? If I had some extra money, and Mike, where I'm seeing this right now is with a lot of retired clients. They said, hey, we were going to go to Ireland to watch Notre Dame play football.
Yeah.
And we were going to do this and we were going to do that. And we have these resources and we got it all refunded. So what do we do? And I say, okay, whether you're retired or whether you're working towards becoming retired someday, I would go back and work with my certified financial planner to say, what are my financial priorities? And then if I need to shore up my 3 bank account system and make sure I've got the right amount of reserves in the bank, I would do that. But you might say, hey, listen, I'm at a point where I've got extra. What do I do with that? And I've seen some folks that have made some decisions. Some folks said, hey, listen, my adult children now have jobs and resources, but they're not fully funding Roth IRAs. I've got extra money. We're not doing the trip. I'm actually going to put some money in my kids' Roth IRA. And that a lot of people don't realize you can do these types of things.
Yeah, right. That's the creativity piece. I mean, you've got to have the 3 C's, right? Confidence and clarity, where you stand, you're on the right track, and then from there, the creativity. Am I doing everything I possibly could? Is there a different way to get from here to there? And that's the creativity piece. So, So I agree with that, Kevin. I mean, this is going to be a different year. You might not be hosting as much or as many. Mm-hmm. You might not. I mean, we went to do the honey baked ham and not around anymore. And so
really,
yeah, at least the website said permanently closed. So there we go, Martin's.
Wow.
So anyway, and so you might not be buying that plane ticket, or you might be driving. It might look different, and if that means less stress financially, great, and put that money towards the right purpose.
And I like the idea of delinking and kind of decoupling holiday and family time. Separate that from financial stress.
And the way I completely agree. And this is the big secret. Kevin and I and Josh and all of our team here at KFG, we've helped people with their finances, and we've gotten to do some pretty amazing things, help people sell businesses for millions of dollars and help them retire and buy the second place and help people avoid bankruptcy and really everything in between. But if you were to ask me, what's the one principle, what's the one thing that you've seen change the most lives? It's the 3 bank account system. It's getting this structure in place. The 3 bank account system is your immediate spending, so money that's coming in, your income every single month, and then your expenses every single month, and making sure that's in balance. That's your first bank account. Your second bank account is delayed spending, not savings. It's delayed spending. It's you intentionally setting money aside automatically every month to save up for known upcoming expenses. Well, gee, that could be Christmas presents. That could be Christmas travel. We usually go shopping on Black Friday in Chicago. Magnificent Mile. That's expensive. Parking is stinking expensive. Save up for that. I do. Our anniversary is in December. I save up for that. Life insurance. I want to pay that once a year. I save up for that. Any expense you can anticipate, you save up for in delayed spending. That's your second. So then you can just pay cash. It's not a financial stressor. And then the third bank account is an emergency fund. We talked about it a few weeks ago, financial confidence. That doesn't mean you are bomb-proof, but you've got some protection. You're wearing a bulletproof vest. If something hits you, you've got some resources right there in case of emergency. Those are the 3 bank accounts. You've got to work with your certified financial planner. It's not brain surgery. It's not rocket science, but getting it set up can be difficult. Working it can be difficult, but that's what you need. Work with your CFP to get that in place. All right, we've got questions from fans of the show. We're going to hit that and more coming up on the Wise Money Show with Korhorn Financial Group. Good stuff. 13 minutes. We're going to be just a touch after 10:30. Do you have something starting at 10:30?
No.
Okay, good.
I just
need to be done. I need to be done.
I have life starting at 10:30.
All right, so we've got 2 questions in the hopper. Bid on a house, loss. Someone outbid us. Our offer was above asking. Okay, that's one. One says pay off the highest interest first, which I get, but isn't the best plan to pay off the costing you more in interest?
My question would be, how do we put a bow on this, on the first 3 segments? What do you want to say? That's probably it for me.
Okay. Do you have that in mind? Do you want to put a bow on it, or you want to start and I can wrap up? Or you want me to handle it?
Wait, say it again.
To summarize, or...
Dude, I think you could just go with it if you want.
Okay.
I would, yeah. I think, yes.
All right. Okay. Ready? What happens if you've been bidding on houses? You thought you were going to move this year, and you've been outbid a few times. Is now the time for you to get prepared to make a stronger bid and have it not wreck your financial life? We're going to talk about that. It's a great question from a fan of the show. Coming up, this is the Wise Money Show with Korhorn Financial Group. Thanks for being here. My name's Mike Bernard. Here with me in the KFC studios, Kevin Korhorn. Make sure you stay up to date on all Wise Money content. You can do so online, wisemoneyshow.com. Find us there. And then all over social media, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, wherever you're at, we are there as well. Search the Wise Money Show and follow us there. Subscribe to it, and you can leave questions there as well. We've got a couple of questions that have been left on the YouTube channel we're going to hit in just a second. Before we do, let's just put a wrap here. I mean, again, this is I'm sort of a sap for a few things, and Disney. Yeah, I'm a sap for Disney. I mean, it is. It's family time. It's fun. It's so stinking creative. I just love it. And I'm a sap for the holidays. If I can throw this out there, some of you men could relate to me. Cindy's got Hallmark Christmas movies started, October this year. And I'm not saying end of October. I'm saying October. She loves Hallmark Christmas movies. And we're the type of family that has a lot of decorations.
And I can tell you how all of those end. When my wife is watching those, I say, honey, do you want me to know the good-looking guy ends up with the good-looking girl, even though it seems there's no way it's possible, and they live happily ever after.
That's right. In the final 30 seconds, it all comes together. Every single one. It's the exact same. But and as a believer, the Christmas season is special, and yet for many people it's financially stressful, and this is where financial wisdom is needed. Work with your certified financial planner to relieve that stress. It doesn't need to be that way, regardless of your means. And it doesn't need to be that way. So I think a big piece of it is this 3 bank account system. But the other piece, it's got to be the 3 bank account system, again, not just in a vacuum, but in connection to all of your financial goals in all 6 areas of your financial life. 3 bank account system is really present financial position. You've got to tie that in with the other 5 areas of your financial life. Your CFP can do that. And then you've got clarity on where you stand financially, confidence you're doing the right things, you're on track. And even if that's not perfect, but you've got confidence, okay, I'm making some changes, I'm making some enhancements, I'm working the system, and you've got the creativity of someone who does this for a living, who looks and spends all day, every day thinking about the best ways for people to get from here to there as efficiently as possible. So, I mean, that's really the secret. When you've got that done, you're able to be more present. You're able to enjoy more conversations. You're able to be more generous. Isn't it funny? The more generous you are, the better you feel. So giving to others really should be a selfish thing, right? But you don't do that if you're not sure where you stand financially. So really, it's Christmas and the holidays. It's not about money, but for many of us, money gets in the way. Don't do that. Don't do that. And you can make some changes. You can make some enhancements in your life. Contact your CFP.
Yeah, don't let it be an obstacle. And maybe one of the best Christmas presents you could give yourself this year is the gift of financial planning. And if you are a parent with adult children and these children are coachable and goal-oriented, maybe one of the greatest gifts you could give them for Christmas is the gift of financial planning.
Yeah, and if you're hearing us and you're saying, well, of course, or, that's not possible, well, you're going to decide right now how Christmas is going to feel next year. You're going to decide right now. So take some steps today to have put yourself in a better situation for next year. So, all right, let's jump into some questions from fans of the show. Gosh, houses are emotional. Got this question, and we bid on a house that we lost due to someone outbidding us. Our offer was already above the asking price, and I was worried about not getting it and not being able to get a mortgage that high, okay? We were outbid, but what would you suggest if we don't think we can get a mortgage as high as we need to because the value of the house goes up? Now, this is a tricky thing. Let me set the stage so you can understand what's going on, because you might be wondering, well, wait a second, how could you not get a mortgage for what the value of the house is? So, at least up to this point, I have no idea what will even happen tomorrow, but at least up to this point, this is one of the surprises of the pandemic has been the roaring housing market. It's unbelievable how active the housing market's been. And so, okay, all day long, this house is worth $200,000, but those houses are being sold for a lot more than that. So they list it for $225,000. And they get multiple offers first day, come in, and the highest offer is $250,000. They sell it for $250,000. Well, then the bank, the buyer's got to go get a mortgage, and the bank's going to do an appraisal of that house. Now, to me, this is where I get a little cynical, because I feel like, well, the value of that house is what someone's willing to pay for it. So I guess it's $250,000. But the bank will come in and say, no. That house is only worth $200,000. I know you're willing to pay $250,000, good for you, but it's only worth $200,000. We're not going to loan you money as if it's worth $250,000 because we have to protect our interest. So they're only gonna loan you money as if it's only $200,000, which means you've got to come up with the extra cash. Now, there's a few things you can think about right here. Number one, to me, this is just a sign of potential bubble. I mean, wouldn't you say, well, this didn't happen at the bottom in 09 and 08. So you got to just at least say, well, we might be in an asset bubble here. It might last a long time, but just, tread lightly. Be careful. Don't overextend. But then the second is, you might need to look at where can you get cash, because you might not be able to get all the money you need from the bank for a mortgage.
And there's a difference, because if I am in an asset bubble, what's my response? Well, there are a couple of different responses, but one is going to be based on, hey, I just moved to this area and I need a place to live, versus, you know what, we want to be in a different house. We want to be in a different neighborhood, a different what have you. And you say, well, here's the good news. You can probably sell your house for more than you ever thought you could. The problem is the house that you want to buy across town is going to cost more than you ever thought it would. So this is where you want to have a strategy and a plan that says, hey, long term, what do I want to do? Because if long term I'm willing to overpay for a place to live, then you have to make decisions based on that. But it's hard to justify, or it's hard to make a case to say, hey, overpay for something right now, unless it's kind of the crisis mode. Hey, I've got to have a place to live. I've got to have a place for my family. Then that's a different approach than saying, hey, we would like to change. We don't have to move, but we'd like to move.
Yeah. I mean, this is interesting. We actually saw, when you hear the word panic with buying and selling, it's usually associated with selling. There's panic selling. We've had panic buying this year.
Yes.
We've had panic buying in stocks, in housing, in toilet paper, like, right? We have had panic buying, which is, I've never seen that before, but we've had that. And so, Kevin, you're absolutely right. I mean, if you find yourself in the situation and you've got to get a house, then you've got to be working with a certified financial planner to make sure you don't overextend yourself. But if it's just more of a want, well, we like this house, but we'd like this other house better. It's in a different school district. It's got an extra bedroom. It's got a nicer bathroom. It's got an updated kitchen. Then the tricky part is, especially in this case, if you're going to overpay, and I guess, don't get mad at me for even saying that. I'm just saying if the appraisal is $400 and you've got to buy it for $450, then you're overpaying at least today. Okay, and it might the value might be $450, the appraised value might be $450 in a few years, but it's not today. Then, in order for you to buy that, to win it, right, and you might need to have a different sacrifice in your financial life, and you better do that with eyes wide open. Know what you're saying no to by saying yes to the house. Now, if you're flush with cash, it might just be, well, I'm saying no to having this much in the bank account or this much in an investment brokerage account. I'm just going to take it out and whatever. Watch out for capital gains and so on. And so that would be easy, work with your CFP. But it's also possible you could be saying no to saving as aggressively in retirement because you've got to back your contributions from 10% to 6% to afford the higher mortgage. And that would probably be a dangerous trade-off. Work with your CFP, see how this decision fits in all 6 areas of your financial life. Don't do that unconsciously. Say, well, in order for this to work, we'll bring the 401k savings down for a little bit, and then we'll boost it right back up when I get that bonus, when I get that raise. Be very careful, very careful.
Yeah, and this is where, when you say, when do people make mistakes in their financial life? And most of the time, a mistake is connected to emotions. So if you are emotional about this, just assume somehow, some way, shape, or form, you're going to be making a mistake. So I would encourage you to not be emotional about this. And you say, well, how do I take the emotions out of this? As Mike said, you're working with your certified financial planner. But the other thing you want to do is have a checklist. Work off of a checklist and say, all right, these are the things that are most important to us. These are the things that would cause us to violate our guiding principles. No, don't violate your principles. No, I mean, and I've been in that. I've been in the middle of building campaigns and projects and house buying and all this other stuff. And people say, well, we've always believed this, but this is the time. This would be the appropriate time to violate my guiding principles. And so I say, well, this is the time that your guiding principles are likely going to save your butt. So I would not make this the time when I'm making adjustments to my guiding principles. I would make this the time when I'm making adjustments to the house that I just can't live without.
So here is the thing. I mean, and I don't want to belabor this, but this is how it's been. There's been panic buying, and depending on the house and the area that you live in, you might be able to relate to this. But you might have been like the individual that wrote in and lost a house, or you might be thinking, I'd like to buy a house this upcoming year. Just be aware this is happening and do the right things right now to be preparing for it. Because if you get in and you see that picture window and you see the kids' bedrooms, and then you realize, and you can just see yourself there, and they've just, the realtor just baked cookies, so it smells wonderful. And then you're realizing, oh, this is going to go for over ask. We're not prepared for this. That's when emotions drive to making decisions. So I hope that helps. But all right, that's all the time we have for today. On behalf of Kevin Korhorn, myself, and all of us at KFG, have a great weekend. We'll see you next Saturday for the Wise Money Show with Korhorn Financial Group.
Securities offered through Silver Oak Securities, member FINRA/SIPC. Advisory services offered through KFG Wealth Management, LLC. Doing business as Korhorn Financial Group. KFG Wealth Management, LLC and Silver Oak Securities Incorporated companies are unaffiliated.